Performance-only business model. Should you as a vendor, as a consultant, agree to working for free with the idea of getting paid once you achieve a certain result? And if you are a client, should you actually pursue those types of deals? This is what we are going to be covering today. So we're going to cover, first of all, what you as a vendor can say to a client who wants to have a deal like this. We will discuss in which cases the I work for free model actually makes sense. These are very, very few and rare cases. And then we're going to talk about if you as a client, if you try to get vendors to agree to this kind of model, why this is maybe not such a good idea and why you should refrain from doing so. Okay, so let's talk about the last point first. What if you're a client and you just kind of find yourself in a position where you think you can ask vendors to actually work for free with the idea that they will get paid when you achieve a certain result? Now, sometimes I have clients come to me and complain about that, complain about the idea that when they are trying to do client acquisition, that some of their potential clients ask them to work for free with the idea of then getting paid when they get results. Okay. And so I've been thinking quite hard about this also because it has happened to me several times that I approach somebody and they say, well, I will only work with you if you help me get clients, then you get paid. Okay. And so let's talk about why that is such a bad idea if you as a client are trying to get these kinds of deals done. Well, there's several problems with that. First of all, let's truly digest that. Like, what are you trying to achieve here? As a potential buyer, you are asking a professional who has certain degree of expertise in an area. Probably they are not doing this for the first time. If you're not their potential first client, they have some expertise in this area, and you are asking them to work for free for an uncertain payday. Okay, let's just digest that, right? Do you think with this approach, will you get really good professionals to work with you? Okay, I'll just put that out there. I think you won't. If you consider all of the potential consultants in this domain where you want help with, whatever that can be, if you consider them graded on a curve, like where it's from god awful to the world's best in their field, literally, okay? Who on this curve would agree to work with somebody who they just met? So it's not like if it's whatever, somebody's super famous, okay, yeah, sure. If Tony Robbins asked me to do something and I will get paid if he gets results, maybe I would agree to that. Or somebody else similarly prominent. But if you, and I assume that if you're watching this video, you are not world-class famous, world famous, then where on that curve is this person likely to be sitting if they agree to a deal like that with you, a stranger who they just met? I can guarantee you that they are definitely not in the world-class bracket. They are definitely not in the top 50. They are very likely not even in the top 80%. Okay, so you are, by asking for such a deal, you are scraping the bottom of the barrel. You are only getting the worst possible people who are so desperate for some kind of payout that they are willing to engage in such a one-sided agreement where they work for free and who knows if they're ever going to get paid. So this is what you are actually asking for. You are effectively trying to outsource your business risk to someone who is not very good at what they do. I mean, I cannot imagine what kind of problems could come up with that, right? It's just a god-awful deal. So the idea that you will get somebody who will get you good results by you asking them to work for free is just really bad idea, and I strongly recommend that you reconsider that. Now, I've had a few people who have claimed to me, I cannot verify it, who've claimed to me that this model works for them, okay? Fair enough. If this works for you, if this has really worked for you, then just consider what you could be getting if you were to hire somebody who is better than this person who you hired for free. Because again, you will not get the best people in the world doing this. You will likely get the bottom 10%. And just imagine how much better your results could be if you had hired somebody who you actually paid. And finally, you're going to attract that kind of behavior yourself. You buy like you sell. So if you constantly ask potential vendors to work for free for you, you can bet that you will attract that kind of behavior into your world as well. So those are the reasons why you, if you're a potential client, might want to reconsider your approach if you are asking people to work for free for you. Now, what can you do as a vendor when somebody asks for that, right? Because you want to salvage a potential chance that you could still work with this person, or you at least want to remain on good terms with them while showing that you have truly thought about their situation and exactly analyzed why they're asking for it and what it is that they are looking for. And what do I mean by that? There's actually one instance where somebody was actually grateful for me when I pointed something out to them. This person was asking me to work for free. And because he didn't like sales and marketing at all, he was an expert in his field, and he simply wanted somebody to take care of marketing and sales for him. And through some deep questioning that I did with him, we actually landed on the insight that he is looking for a co-founder. He's the expert. He's able to provide the service to their clients, but he needs somebody who takes care of that and who then assumes their entire business risk, right? Because he was asking me to effectively work for free for him. He was offering considerable payouts, but I just don't know the guy. It's not like I'm going to suddenly like give up all my other work that I'm doing and focus full time on somebody that I just met who's asking me to effectively become his co-founder. Also, what kind of person is that who gives somebody such an important role in this business who they just met? You know, it's all just warped. It's this kind of like caricature of what people believe are business deals. This is not how business deals are done. You don't do hugely important business deals with complete strangers where there is like complete one-sidedness to it. One person can just completely lean back while the other person is working themselves to the ground, trying to get a result. And if they don't, then they don't get paid, right? It's completely one-sided. And deals like that are very unlikely to work in the long run. So what can you do as a vendor if that happens to you? I've found that there are about 4 types of people who are asking for this. So one of them, as I already covered, is the person who is actually looking for a co-founder. And there, if that happens, then the best thing you can do is to, through intelligent questioning, help them to figure that out. And this person who I talked to in this context, he was actually quite grateful towards the end because he realized that this is what he is looking for. And of course, we ended up not working together, but at least we left in good spirits. We left on good terms because I helped him understand that about himself. He is not looking for a coach, for an agency to help him with marketing. No, he just doesn't want to touch this whole subject of dirty sales and marketing. He just wants to serve clients. Okay, so you're just building your business on just one leg, and the other super important leg, which is sales and marketing, just wants somebody else taking care of that. It's only going to be someone who A, knows you really well, who trusts you a lot, and who is willing to invest their time and expertise into a business where they should honestly have something like 50-50, there should be a 50-50 deal. Okay, so this is the case number 1, where somebody's actually looking for a co-founder. Now, the second type of person who's asking for deals like that tend to be usually broke or have businesses that are not making money. And I say this with all the love. We all have been in a position where we just simply cannot afford somebody to work with. And the thing that you can do in this case, besides showing empathy, which of course you should, is to offer them some kind of a risk reduction element. With that, for example, I mean the idea of a money-back guarantee. That's something what we have. We offer a money-back guarantee for established consultants who come into the program, and if they do a certain volume of work and they do not get at least their money back in the time that we work together, then we refund them the investment. Okay, we are taking that risk on ourselves, but we just know that if they do the work, they will get the results. Now, in cases where people have literally so little cash that they cannot even invest in that, then it's of course is not going to work out. But with somebody who is extremely money conscious, in that case, offering some kind of like a risk reversal, risk reduction can be very useful, and I recommend that you do that. So this is case 2, people who are broke, who have businesses that are not making any money. Then group 3 are the people who have been burned before. Sometimes I speak to people who say, yeah, I've worked with coaches before, but I've been burned and I didn't get any result out of that. So that's why I just don't pay for these kind of services anymore. And in that case, again, show empathy, show, yeah, that sucks. I can imagine that there's a lot of people out there who don't really know what they're talking about. And then I would ask the following. I would ask them, so would you say that the other person, when you say burned before, so this other person who you've worked with, would you say that it was 100% their fault that the relationship did not work out, that you did not get good results? And if they're even remotely self-aware, they will not say, no, it was not just this person's fault, it was also their own fault. And if not, if they really truly claim that it was the other person's fault, then you really want to reconsider if this is a person you want to work with, right? Because either they have chosen badly, so they have not done their due diligence, which is pretty bad sign in itself, right? If you invest presumably a 4-figure amount into working with someone, 4 or 5 or God knows how much, and they have not done the proper due diligence. They have worked with somebody who does not have any testimonials. They have zero proof in the market, and they've invested a lot of money with them without any safeguards. Are they really a good business person? Or they have probably not done the work. That's another option. Or they are so deluded that they expect that anybody who they hire and who they pay is absolutely, they must deliver them 10x returns, or else they are incredibly bad at what they do. It's just not how the world works. So if you encounter somebody who says that they have been burned before and that's why they don't pay for services like that anymore, then ask them if it really was entirely the other person's fault, if they're not partially to blame themselves. And also, if you feel a little bit cheeky and if you don't mind them getting a little bit upset, you can ask them, let me ask you, have you in your teens or 20s had a girlfriend or boyfriend who then you ended up not staying together, who you ended up not marrying? And if they're going to be like discombobulated by this question, and they say, well, of course, yeah, I've had girlfriends and boyfriends. So yeah, exactly. So it does not always work out. Only because you have been burned before, this didn't sour you to all potential relationships that you would have, right? It's simply you have not found the right person. So why not give this a shot? Who knows if I'm going to be the right person, but we have a money back guarantee. If you don't get the result, then you get a refund. Now, I know that not everybody can offer a money back guarantee, but at least something where you provide some kind of risk reduction. Let's say the first month, there's no retainer. You're just going to work on an ad hoc basis. And if after 3 sessions, you believe that we work well together, then let's go and put a retainer in, put a 3-month commitment in, and we roll from there. Right? So do some kind of risk reduction in the beginning, but you cannot get really good people. You can always ask them, how likely do you believe that you will get somebody good if you are not willing to pay for this kind of service? That is a great question to ask, and most people will agree that they're probably not going to get somebody good. So those are all the things that you can ask someone who gives you as the reason for why they want to work on a performance-only basis, the fact that they have been burned before. And then there's a couple of people, the group 4, they are slightly narcissistic people who have a bit of a warped mindset, who believe that just working with them is a gift from God, and that any vendor who wants to work with them is actually lucky to get their business. And to them, I mean, usually these people are beyond saving. There's not a lot you can do with them, but I enjoy this process of truly uncovering and getting them at least somehow admit that they are being unreasonable. I sort of enjoy that process, and I wouldn't do it if it were just for the hell of it. I do believe, and I have had cases where I've turned it around, where somebody started out wanting to have a performance-only deal, and then they agreed to work with me under the conditions that I proposed, which includes a money-back guarantee. But there are ways how you can change somebody's mind about that if you go respectful about it, if you talk to them not in a defiant, offended way, but rather let's truly try to analyze what you are asking for here. And what helps with those slightly narcissistic people who believe that working with them is a gift from God and that therefore you should be working for free, what helps there is to say the following. Look, there's a spectrum of how you allocate risk in a relationship like that. Now, if I were to say, you just pay me completely independent of the outcome, you pay me for my time, that is the safest bet for me, okay? There's practically no risk for me there. And there's some amount of risk for you. Although that risk is mitigated if you consider how many testimonials we've had, how long we've been in business successfully, our growth trajectory and all of that. But there's still, in this kind of setup, it's more risky for you than for me. Now, the completely opposite side of the spectrum is the one you're proposing, Mr. Prospect, where I work for free and I only get paid when you get a client or when you get a certain other desirable result, okay? That is, all the risk is on me in that case and zero on you. The only risk is tiny risk that you spend a little bit of time talking to me and working with me, but otherwise there's zero risk for you. If I don't get you the result, well, then you don't pay. And you may have even received some insights that help you with your business going forward. So those two things are very extreme, right? On both cases, the risk is skewed towards one party. Well, how about we meet in the middle? A money back guarantee is a great way to keep things fair, where you pay upfront, and then if you don't get results, then we will refund you. We will make it clear what are the conditions that you have to meet to qualify for a money back guarantee. In our case, that is that you simply have to do a certain amount of outreach, you have to do a certain amount of content, and that's it. If you do that and you don't get results, we refund you. And so that isn't that, Mr. Prospect, isn't that a good middle ground where the risk is pretty evenly distributed, where you commit and I commit because it will be in writing, it's going to be in our terms and conditions, and you, Mr. Prospect, therefore have the guarantee that if it doesn't work out, you get money back. And also I have the security that you are actually full in, that you have paid, you have invested, and you know that you're on the hook, because if you don't do the work that we suggest that you do, then you lose your right for the money back guarantee. So the risk in this case is really nicely distributed, and we both can work with each other safely in the knowledge that we both have skin in the game. So those are the things that you can say if those 4 categories of people are trying to talk you into a performance only deal. Now let's talk about the 2 scenarios where this model might make some sense, up to a point at least. And that is number 1, when you're completely starting out. When you are a complete newbie in your domain, especially if you don't have any expertise from your past work. Like if you are literally a blank slate and you say, okay, I want to get into Facebook ads, or I want to get into performance coaching, whatever it is, and you want to start a business like this, is going to be, first of all, quite tough. But simply offering people a deal where they don't pay if you don't get them results is a great way to get started. However, of course, they also face the opportunity cost of having to work with a complete newbie. So it's like you're sort of learning on their dime. So don't shoot for the most successful companies in the niche that you want to work with, but go for the middle ground ones. Try to see if somebody in your network, can recommend you and get you in the door. But even if you are, let's say, a seasoned executive and you are starting out, I think doing a performance only deal can be a good way to quickly get a few clients. But very important here is that you tie your work to a few conditions. And the conditions are, number 1, of course, that you get paid when you get a specific result, that this result is actually binary. It's either yes or a no. It's not a maybe. And so that means that, for example, when it comes to business acquisition, it would be a certain amount of calls with qualified prospects booked. Or if you're a management consultant, then the hard binary yes-no thing is that you interview a certain number of people in the organization, you create a certain report, that report adheres to specific formal criteria, and then you will get paid. Fine. I'm not a huge fan of that, especially if you have some corporate background yourself, you know how to do this. There's no reason why you should be agreeing to such a deal, but sometimes, there's financial pressures and it's sometimes better to take the deal rather than have nothing in your pocket. But those are the only scenarios where it does make sense if you tie your deal to a specific set of conditions. And those are, number 1, you're going to get a video testimonial from them, and you're going to get at least 2, maybe 3 active referrals, where they go through their Rolodex, they actively think about who they know who they could benefit from working with you, and then they actively refer you. They send them an email where they CC you, or they just somehow recommend you so that you have a way of tracking that. So active referrals. And the first one is a video testimonial. You ask them, I will do this for free, and you only pay me when you get a result. I'll do it under the condition that you give me a video testimonial where we jump on Zoom for 15 minutes. And I'll ask you about how it was working with me, what were the results we got, how happy you were, and if you would recommend us. You will give me your take. I'll ask you a few questions, and I can then use that video in my marketing materials, and I can use your name and company. And with those 2 conditions, I believe that when you're starting out as a consultant, it is okay to do a performance only deal, one where you only get paid after you've done a specific amount of work. And then the second scenario where it's okay to work for free, at least initially, and that is a very specific case that I've seen work spectacularly well with my friend Evan Thompson. He brands himself as the advisor to kings. Effectively, he is sort of like the Rasputin behind the king's shoulder, who is whispering in his ear and helping them to achieve greatness in their business. And that is such a personal relationship that is, while he's effectively being a consultant, advisor, coach, whatever you want to call it, It's such a personal relationship that when he identifies a potential client he wants to work with, he just says, I'm just going to do a month's work for free. I just want you to see the quality of my work. He wants to become indispensable for them. And so he just completely lowers the barrier to entry for that person, does some outstanding, amazing work for them so that they can only say yes to it. And then once they have seen his value, then he asks for a very lucrative deal for himself. Let's say a percentage of the profits, or an equity deal right away. Something that will help him get a payout that is way beyond what most consultants get as a day rate or hourly rate or something like that. So this is the second case where it's okay to temporarily work for free and sort of use this as an investment into the relationship. But outside of those two extreme cases, one where you're just completely starting out, where you're a complete neophyte in your domain, and one where you have such a exalted business model where the potential payout from one client can be in the millions if you get a profit share, those two cases are fine to do a performance only deal. But even in the second one, it's not truly performance only. It's basically where you show the quality of your work and are willing to work for free for a certain amount of time. So outside of those two extreme cases, I really urge you to not do any work for free. And now you hopefully have all the ammunition that you can use in a scenario like that. And this is not to just prove your point and to be right in a discussion. Those points that I gave you hopefully help you to have the conversation in a mature and calm and reasoned way, with the hope of actually having the other person see that what they're asking for is quite unreasonable. And if you do it in a polite and respectful way, you have a chance that they will actually agree to your terms.